All right, so there's one thing that's going to happen to every Jeep in its life if it's going to go off-road. It's going to be an axle swap, because nobody wants stock axles forever. But the question that's always going to come up is, what axle do I need for my vehicle? So Chase, we got a whole bunch of your axles here. So let's start by just talking about when someone wants to upgrade an axle and they're thinking about basically taking the stock ones out, putting on larger wheels and tires. What's the first decision they have to make?
What tire size?
So they got to know that right out of the gate.
Or overbuild.
Yeah. So if they're going to go to a 37, but maybe go to a 40 later on, you're going to tell them just to bite the bullet and go to the axle that can support the 40s, right?
Correct.
So if that's the case, someone calls you up and they got a JL like that rig back there. What's your suggested axle package for that Jeep? It's going to get 40s eventually.
Dana 60s. You know, 37s is a really tricky tire size because a 44, a well-built 44 can handle it, but that's everybody's starting tire.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
And so if you do 37s and you do 44s, in your future it's probably a set of 40s, and then you're going to wish you went to 60s.
So the better option right out of the gate, go with 60s. Yeah. And then, so someone's looking at a 60 package. What are they looking at? 60 front, 60 rear, or are you going to upgrade the rear a little bit more? Or what
well, this is an 80, and this is our 4-inch 60. So this would be more of an extreme set. And the reason why we like the 80 is for the people that want to do everything. You want to put a lot of miles on the vehicle and you want to ride off-road. So the bearings and the size of the Dana 80 really supports those miles that you're going to put on the vehicle.
So this is a great axle if someone's like, hey, I'm going to go to 40s and 42s. It's essentially my daily driver, even though I don't drive it every day, but there's a chance they're going to drive it to the trail, wheel it, and then want to drive it home.
Yeah, if you want to drive 3,000 miles to Moab and wheel it, you want to make sure you got the biggest, best thing in there. You know, if it's just a buggy or it's a play toy that you only run in the woods a couple times a year and you care a lot about ground clearance, then our 14 bolt is a really nice option.
And the 14 bolt you have, there's a couple options in there, right? So if someone calls you up and they said, hey, I'm going to go with the 14 bolt, they have choices in that space as well too, don't they?
Yeah, we've got the shave 14 bolt and then the full shave. So the full shave will actually turn your ring gear down so that you can pick up even more clearance. But we only recommend that for buggy axles that aren't going to see highway, street use, that sort of thing.
And then the shave, it's still the factory ring gear, right?
Correct. So our shave 14 bolt, still, you know, awesome ground clearance, but you've got that full ring gear to dissipate road heat and the miles, and a full ring gear in there to take the abuse you need.
So on what's in this Jeep back here for axle package?
That's an 80.
So 80 rear, 60 front.
Yeah, so that was, you know, my personal Jeep that we kind of prototyped a lot on, and I immediately chose an 80 because I knew it would see a lot of miles. You know, we wanted to test it, we wanted to run it, and if we wanted to, you know, go rock crawl, we knew we had something.
So if we're talking about a serious Jeep, 40s, 42s, you got the, you know, 60 front, KP 540 outer if you want to go hardcore, 14 bolt rear for serious off-road, heavy duty overlanding, we'll call it, we'll do the 80.
Yeah.
But if someone isn't going to go this big and they know truly that they're not ever going to go above a 37-inch tall tire, you've got housings for them as well too, right?
Sure, yeah. So up top we have the JK front 44, we call it a 489, and that's just to try to distinguish the Dana 44s, because Dana 44s nowadays can mean
there's a lot of them.
One of 100 different ones. So we call this the 489, and it's a 8.9-inch ring gear. So bigger than like your old CJ Ford Dana 44s. It's the JK ring and pinion.
Yeah.
But not to be confused with the Rubicon, because the Rubicon has special metric bearing journals and limits your carrier options. So this is JK ring and pinion, but it has any carrier option that a Dana 44 would have.
Yeah, so if somebody just had a JK and they were honestly never going to go above a 35, maybe a 37, they were honest with themselves, it's literally just, they just want to look cool and drive in the street and a little bit of mild off-roading. This is a great upgrade because you're upgrading the housing at the same time.
Correct, yeah. You know, factory housing, 2.5-inch tube, quarter wall, you know, that's 3-inch half wall.
Yeah.
So a lot of strength difference. Plus, if you just look at the C's side by side, you know, a much beefier housing. And we don't see it much anymore, but, you know, 5-10 years ago, People were sleeving their factory axles and doing the gussets on the C's. So that solves all of it with the housing.
Yeah, and then we got other options down here. So this is a rear similar.
Yep, so this is a TJ Dana 44, or what we call a 485, because it actually has the 8.5-inch ring gear in it.
So bigger center section ring gear. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously better than a Dana 35, but this is a mild build. It'll hold 35-inch tires, 37.
Because this is also semi-float axle, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. Unlike a full float, which is down here where we got the ultimate in strength. So we are still limited by that semi-float axle shaft.
Sure.
And then WJ right here.
Yeah, so this is a WJ, not obviously much competition in the WJ axle market.
Yeah.
I had a personal WJ 15 years ago, and we put this in my wife's Jeep, prototyped it out, and we've been building it since. But a Dana 60, the truss takes the wishbone, odd little ball joint suspension they have there. And obviously if you were doing a Clayton kit or some other kind of 4-link, you still have a mounting location for that.
Yeah, and so the WJ, I mean, it's still a popular Jeep. It's a great overlanding type Jeep because it's big, V8 power, and then, with this axle upgrade, that sort of solves all the problems that were in the back of that truck for sure. Now, we didn't talk about one axle that's not on here that's kind of in the middle, which is JK semi-float 60, right?
Yeah, JK or JT or JL, my personal opinion is that the JT should have came stock with a Dana 60 in it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big truck. Everybody's got 35s on it,
yeah.
At a minimum. So think about the 392.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know why that doesn't have a 60 in the back.
392 with 35s is a bad combination for a stock axle.
Yeah. And the semi-float 60, the benefit to that is you're still running the original 5-on-5 lug pattern.
Correct, yeah.
Versus when you go up to the big axles, you're going to do new wheels and tires.
Yeah, a lot of our semi-float JK, JL, JT take the factory brakes, so you save money. We'll give you 35 spline chromoly shafts all put together, and then you can just swap your brakes over. So it's a very budget-friendly, even repair, right? You do end up tearing up your factory axle. Pricing the repair of that versus, hey, just grab a semi-float 60, upgrade it, but you get to keep your own brakes.
Yeah, and a lot of those JT guys are carrying a lot of weight, and that rear axle, like you said, it's so thin, ball tubing, it's very easy to bend those rear axles.
Yeah.
So if you just wanted to upgrade or fix that repair, semi-float 60 would be a great way to go.
Correct.
Okay, so Chase, we talked about all the different axles from mild to wild, but you cover essentially every Jeep model with some type of axle upgrade, right?
Yeah, definitely. Some of them would be more custom, but your CJ, TJ, YJ, WJ, ZJ, LJ, same as TJ, XJ. Yeah, so, and then obviously the JK, JL, JT, but that line of Jeeps, fully bolt in, and we've built hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
So essentially, if the Jeep has an axle in the front or an axle in the back, East Coast Gear Supply has a housing that'll make it better.